Welcome back to the Nerdy South, where each week we give our initial reaction and episode review and discuss what's next for the Disney Plus series Loki. I'm Joey. With me, as always, is Jeremy and Grayson. And before we go any further, I'll go ahead and tell you, spoiler alert. We're going to give some massive spoilers for this episode 4 of Loki. And so if you haven't seen the episode yet, go back, watch it, come back and watch us. It's a good one. So you're not going to want to be behind before you watch us. Now, let's get down and nerdy. What did we think of the episode? Initial reactions.
I loved it, man. It's a good episode. A lot going on. We get a lot of reveals. The timekeepers, they love to vape. You know? they're rocking it in their room, and they're just smoking it out. They're fogging it up in there, man. Having a good time.
Blowing clouds
in that room. they're on the clouds, baby.
Such a good episode. Probably my favorite of Loki so far, but might even be one of my favorites of all the Disney Plus series so far. My favorite one-off episode. It was so good.
Yeah, I would agree. It definitely was chock full. You know, we're coming out of the episode 3 where not a lot happened, and you know, some character background and you know, little stuff. But then we jump right into episode 4, and it's like it's almost like they're for like, oh crap, we forgot to put all this stuff in episode 3. We're going to show it in episode 4, and you know, it was outrageously packed with stuff just from beginning to end. And this was our first Loki series episode that had a post-credit scene. So
that's right.
That was exciting
about
as well.
Towards the end, I cannot wait to discuss. But you know, Jeremy, you bring up a good thought. They didn't really waste a ton of time, like a ton of the viewers' time. They just went ahead and resolved what happened last episode, and then just went right into, you know, the next part of the show. Sometimes TV shows, I feel like they linger too long on certain storylines or certain plot lines that almost feel like red herrings towards the end of a show, and you're like, why did we spend so much time there when we could have just, you know, gotten over it and gotten to the next thing? But episode 3 just so beautifully teed up the grandiose epic episode 4. I feel like it just was like it was the calm before the storm. That's all it was.
Absolutely.
I
Good.
was gonna say, did you guys feel like, so the episode opens like we were talking about, we get the classic Marvel fanfare right at the beginning, which after the last few episodes we haven't gotten that, so it's fun opening. Then we're on Asgard. We see young Sylvie, the young Loki, and she's taken away by the TVA. I definitely thought at that moment we might get a cameo of some sort, maybe a young Thor or younger Odin. We do not. It's very quickly just keeps us moving. The whole episode's very fast paced, I thought. Yeah. And then we were already back in the drama of like, well, they're on this planet that's about to explode. Nobody can find them. And then we get this little tease, like the branch is different than any other branch they've ever seen, because Loki's in love with himself. It's incredible. Like, we already knew he was, but that's so good.
It's so funny.
It's so good right off the bat.
One thing I really was kind of like, I knew as soon as the TVA came and took young Sylvie, took the young girl from Asgard, that I knew that was Sylvie. Of course, we all kind of probably guessed that, but I knew as soon as they reset it, that Viking toy was, that Viking ship that she was playing with was going to be one of the things that disappeared. But I wonder, like, why was that one of the things that was reset? Is it because it was her toy, and so because they were erasing her, they need to get rid of her toys and like any proof of her existence at all? Is that why? Do you think that's why when a reset happens? I'm really hung up on these resets, y'all. This is the second episode now where I've really just like harped on the resetting.
Well, so I think that, yeah, I think anytime that they reset or they prune something, I think it specifically resetting, not really pruning. I think it deletes anything that variant or that person had come in contact with, or maybe altered, and maybe it just reset back to where it was before she started playing with it.
Well, that led me to another thought. Like, is resetting the exact same as pruning? because I mean, we'll get there towards the end of the episode, what we actually learn what pruning is. But
Right. Based on that, like, are we going to get a, I think because they do kind of hone in on that shot of the ship, I kind of was thinking after what we saw at the end of the episode, the ship may make a return. That she might get to have some of her childhood back. But we'll see. We'll see. Some of the stuff we talked about in our kind of in between episode, a few days ago, has now started to show itself in this last episode. We got a lot of those shots we saw before. Now we haven't seen, I don't think we've seen the Avengers Tower yet that we talked about, but very excited to see, because it definitely looks like he's in that part of the world now.
Yep.
Yeah. With that.
Very exciting. Great episode. Let's talk about, any other thoughts, any other initial reactions before we move on?
I mean, I have plenty, but I want to wait till we get further in the episode, because so much happened after the first 5 minutes that is so crucial.
Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about episode review. Let's talk about the beginning of the episode, going from Sylvie and Loki's relationship all the way through.
I thought it was interesting. I was glad that we were back in the TVA. I was glad that we had a lot of the returning cast members, or the original cast members, back in the fold with this episode. I feel like they all play off each other so well, and having Owen Wilson back in there. But I thought it was interesting that that Ravonna she wanted them separated during interrogation, and Mobius could not talk to the variant, and she was adamant about that. Of course, we see her earlier in that scene go see the timekeepers. So that, we get our first kind of glimpse of what these three cosmic beings are. And I thought that it was interesting, the role that he played in the episode. And of course, I don't want to talk the whole time. I could talk the rest of the episode about everything that just surprised me. But I thought that it was interesting that we finally got some clarity on that Sylvie was telling the truth about the TVA agents all being variants.
Well, let's kind of back up a little bit and talk about the beginning of the episode, where Loki and Sylvie are of course, they're rescued from the planet, from Lamentis, by the TVA. But what has sparked their ability to find them was the connection between Loki and Sylvie, their romantic connection, love connect. Not really sure what kind of connection there is. It's just Loki loving himself, I guess. But regardless, it sparked a very strong Nexus event. And even later on, Mobius kind of talks about, jokingly, but it reveals a lot, that their two power, them forming that connection was too chaotic for the universe for Loki to love himself that much. But they finally get rescued and they're in the TVA. And is it just me, or is everything a little settled down from Sylvie's mass destruction? Like, nobody's really rushing around. The timeline is back to normal. Everything's kind of back to normal. They reset that place quick. And honestly, Renslayer is a little too lighthearted, considering what she just came off of. It was almost like she just got a little slap on the hand from the timekeepers, and that was it. Thoughts? Why did everything go back to normal so quickly, I guess, is my question.
I feel like, and this kind of comes about maybe some stuff we'll get there when we talk about it, but I feel like Renslayer is more in control than what we're led to believe. I believe she's more in charge. Now, do I believe that is Renslayer's final form, if you will? I do not. I believe we're going to possibly know who the puppet master is behind the scenes here, whether it's Kang the Conqueror, whether it's a variant of Thanos, something else is going on, or even a variant of one of Thanos's henchmen, like the 4 henchmen that Thanos has.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who it is, but I do think Renslayer is a lot more involved and a lot more actually in charge than the setup is. So much going on in this episode, like you said, like you both have said. I felt like we get so many honest reveals from so many good characters. A lot of people in the show, a lot of the actors actually got a lot of cool moments to just shine, which was great.
A lot of great acting.
Show a lot of, different value that they offer. So it was a really cool episode for action scenes, acting scenes, all kinds of goodies. And then just moving the story along too. I thought the timekeepers, of course, I've said since episode 1, I don't think they're real. So to get to hear them speak was a moment where I was like,
whoa.
I was like, because it's one of those moments when it gets to there at the show, you feel like it's going to be like, bump, see you next week, like kind of thing. And I was like, wait a minute, they're actually talking, like, what? So that was one moment that really threw me on my heels, if you will.
We'll kind of discuss the ending.
Yes.
Once we get there, there was a lot of meat in the middle.
Yes.
A lot of meat while the two Lokis were separated. And they were, Mobius was with one, and Hunter B-15 was with the other. There's a lot of stuff happened there, but I want to bring up a thought. Is it just me, or did Mobius's emotions like roller coaster quite a bit? At one, like usually when he was with Loki, he seemed really downtrodden, but then there were moments when he was with Renslayer where he was like really upbeat and lighthearted, and then he'd be really down. Something just didn't feel right about going in between each scene. And maybe they did that on purpose because, this whole show is about time, and maybe they want you to get lost in even the timeline of a certain sequence of events. But it just kind of felt like something wasn't right with who we were watching, Mobius being. He just didn't seem, nothing seemed right about that middle portion to me. The fact that he couldn't talk to Sylvie was really strange to me. Why was she keeping him away? And it kind of got me thinking, if everybody in the TVA is a variant, is there the possibility, we kind of briefly touched on it, but is there the possibility that we were seeing two different Mobiuses throughout this entire episode? And maybe even possibly we've been seeing different Mobiuses throughout the series so far.
Could be. I had in my head, kind of like as this is going on, that like immediately when Renslayer's like, no, you can't go see Sylvie, that variant, that he immediately already started to understand, like he doesn't trust the situation, and so he knows the character he needs to play. That all things are good, baby. I'm just here to fix the TVA, man. We're gonna fix the timeline. Being upbeat with her, but I mean, it's definitely possible there could be two different variants of Mobius walking around. How are they not running into each other? We don't know. But maybe there's two versions of the TVA going on, and Renslayer's puppet mastering, or somebody's puppet mastering her. I don't know.
You never know. It's really hard to tell what hallway you're in when you're in it.
Yes.
They all look the same.
They do.
All the rooms pretty much look the same. All the doors look the same. All the elevators look the same. Everything looks pretty generic once you get into the hallways and the theater. What I loved, I just noticed it in this episode, the time theaters is what they call the rooms that they interrogate them in. Jeremy, what you got? Yeah.
But just to play off that multiple Mobiuses in the TVA, there have been a handful of times in the season where Mobius is like, just tell me, just go ahead and say that I'm your favorite, and she never does. She never admits that he is the favorite. And even if you watch through the show, like he goes through an array of emotions, depending on the environment that he's in. And I mean, he's a company man. He believes wholeheartedly in the TVA. And I think that a combination of being told that he can't speak to a variant, and all of a sudden Loki spouts off that timekeepers didn't create anybody in the TVA. They're all variants. Right. I think that had him shook enough to steal the tempad. And, then of course he goes down the rabbit hole, and, it just, I liked the part the most when Loki was in the time cell. And it basically was Groundhog Day of reliving just a pain in the
I
butt.
like
I mean,
what
not
I
a
like what
horrible
Loki
memory,
said at that
just
moment
an
when he was
annoying
like,
one,
"Oh, you're gonna make
over
me,
and over and over on
you're
loop.
gonna give me all
And
my worst
to do that, to
memories.
wear the
Okay,
person
what's the
down until
next
they're ready
one?"
to
And then
talk.
it
I
was
thought
just the same thing.
that was an
It was just
interesting way
looped,
to
and
take an already known concept
I
of
definitely
LDL.
a
expected.
Groundhog Day
I
type,
definitely expected
reliving
which
the
was
same moment
was a
over and
cameo.
over,
We got Lady
and use it
Sif
as a
back.
Yeah,
punishment.
I definitely thought like
And
no
in a
matter what he
prison
did, she
setting,
was
I
kind
thought
of
that
going
was
to be
pretty
like a
cool.
frozen memory. Like whatever he did, she would always do the same thing. But her reacting in different ways to what he said was super cool. I was like, okay, this is more than just a memory loop.
yeah,
It actually has like the person's like spirit, like if you will, like they know each other. This isn't just a boring, just loop. And it was very cool. You got to see, of course, Tom Hiddleston shine in this whole dang show, but just really shine in that one. Let a lot of good emotion out. It's just he's so freaking good in this show. But yeah, seeing Lady Sif come back's a cool moment for sure.
sidebar, speaking of the cameos, before I realized, before they revealed that it was a loop that he was in, and he was just waiting for the next memory, all I was waiting for was, "Hello, brother." I was waiting for Thor.
Absolutely.
I was waiting to hear Thor in the background. I was just waiting for it. And I've been waiting for him the whole time. I just don't know how you can do a Loki show without showing Thor once. They did refer to him. And of course, they referred to him all throughout the show. Of course,
Yeah.
they referred to him when he was, when he was DB Cooper jumping out of the airplane and, you better be there, brother. And, Hemdahl sends the, I don't remember what it's called right now, the rainbow. But thank you, the Bifrost. I was going to call it the Rainbow Road, but I knew that wasn't right. Go ahead and bash me in the comments. It's fine. But I, I'm going to stand by it. This is my theory towards the end, is that there are, and I believe
The
that
Bifrost.
what we saw towards the end of this episode is with my theory.
It's a rainbow
But I
road.
believe that there have been different Mobiuses throughout this whole show that we've seen. We have not experienced just the one, especially in Renslayer's office. And when that Mobius refers to Loki, it's not the one we've been following. It's another variant, not Sylvie, not our Loki, another Loki. So every time Mobius refers to Loki, we have no idea. It could be a whole different Loki. And that's why Renslayer won't let him go talk to Sylvie. Because, of course, it's the TVA. Word spreads around the office. What if what if the Mobius variants, their only task is to figure out this whole Sylvie thing, but they've been tasked with different Lokis?
Man, it could be.
I'm going to stand by that until this season ends and it's revealed that was not true. That's going to be my running theory.
I feel like for me, the most shocking moment of the episode, we're gonna start talking about the ending now, because this is a shocking moment. I did not think they were gonna prune Mobius.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my
What was your
gosh. And
most
of course you see it on
shocking moment of
Loki's
the episode,
face.
Michael?
Like he feels responsible for this. Like
such a good performance.
It's incredible. He feels like for the first time finally in the show, he's been like trying to gain the trust of Mobius. And for the first time, like they're on the same page, trust each other. They're working together to get this thing done. And Mobius gets pruned. And I was like, no way. Like they're not getting rid of Owen Wilson. Like this just the chemistry's too good. And man, like I was shook by that one for sure. I did not see that coming. What about you guys?
I would say for me, the most surprising moment was when the timekeeper spoke. We saw them at the very beginning of the episode. We show up and we see them. They were silhouetted at the beginning, which was pretty menacing. And then we finally see them, and I'll be on 100% honest. I had the same reaction to them as I kind of did when I first saw Snoke from Star Wars in person, not in the hologram, but in person. I was like a little disappointed, a little disappointed. And then they spoke, and I was like, something feels really off about these characters. They don't feel real at all. They feel like projections, or
they felt a little bit sea monstery too, where they're like,
yes.
When they would talk, and I was like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt I
That's
had to
no
turn the
Andy Circus
captions on
performance.
to fully understand what they were saying, because when I saw them, I'm the
Yeah.
same with Joey.
It
Like
was
I'm thinking, like, okay, the MCU is masters at CG and massively complex characters looking like they're part of a physical environment, and then it showed the timekeepers, and I'm
Mhm.
like, huh. I feel I feel like I'm watching like a scene from Sharknado. Like it felt B. Like it just felt like a B. Like, but obviously, like and hearing them talk, it was hard to understand them. They weren't how I visualized them to be at all. Because I'm thinking of Thanos. I'm thinking of anybody else from any of the MCU movies that was CGI'd and it just looked
yeah.
horrible. And during the battle scene, um, you know, one of their heads gets chopped off. In fact,
Gone.
it was the
Weren't
center one.
real.
And I said in
Whoever
the previous
theorized that
episode,
at the
I wonder
beginning,
if the center
I
one was
think Grayson,
Kang.
it was you that said you
Clearly,
don't
it
think that
wasn't.
they're real. I think
It was
we
a
all kind
really
of thought
poorly
maybe it's probably
designed
true. So there
android.
is somebody in
Um,
charge. Maybe it's
and
Renslayer.
that was the most
Maybe the
shocking part
theory
to
that
me.
it's Kang.
They just went out in
You
episode
know,
four,
I still
mid-season, and
stand
was
by
like,
it.
hey,
Production
the
design.
big
Here's the thing.
owners of the
Nothing is
TVA,
done on,
not so real.
nothing is done by accident. The fact that the center one always looked really closely like Kang, there's got to be something there. I think theory number two that I'm going to stand by is that Kang is involved somehow. Don't know how yet. Probably maybe the puppet master of all this, but definitely had a Wizard of Oz man behind the curtain thing.
Yes.
Where, as soon as the head got chopped off, I was like, that's not blood, that's sparks.
Yeah.
They were robots. And no
Yes.
wonder they didn't spend a lot of time on them.
Yes. So do you guys think the big bad's going to get introduced in the next episode, or do you think they're going to hold it for the final episode, episode 6?
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think the big bad's going to get introduced at all in the show. I think it's going to be similar to
Right.
when Thanos was originally introduced. I think it was I can't remember if it was before Avengers. Um, it was, maybe it was Iron Man 3, maybe it was Thor 2. I can't really remember which one it was. But all it was the Chitauri general talking to Thanos' back, who's turned, and then all he does is turn his face to the camera.
I'm pretty
And you
sure
get that
it
smile, and
was the end
that
of
that's the big bad
Avengers
leading up. I think,
when
honestly,
Thanos turns his
if
head,
this
because
if it falls in
uh,
the line that
who
this is
was
Kang,
the
I think you're going to get something
who was the
similar
primary
to a post
villain
credit scene
of
where
Thor 2?
it's revealed that he was
The Dark Elf.
behind it all, but that's all you get.
Yeah.
Okay. Who
And
is
then
the
his
primary
character's
villain of
introduced
Guardians
to
of the
Quantum
Galaxy?
Mania.
That's
Yeah.
the guy that Loki was talking to, that gave him the Chitauri army
You know what? You're right.
on behalf of Thanos.
He's talking to Thanos.
It was the Dark Elf. I can't remember his name. Ronan the Destroyer.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, that was a no. Yeah, he's talking to the Chitauri general.
It's true.
Ronan
And
didn't get
we're deep
introduced
in
until
on
Guardians of the
Loki right
Galaxy,
now.
which
We got
was
to go
after
back and watch Avengers
Avengers,
when this is all over to
because they showed
keep
Thanos'
track
face
of
a
these
whole lot more.
timelines.
And
My
you're right;
goodness.
it was at
But
the very end
I
when
think
you
you're
saw Thanos' head turn,
I was
and it
gonna
was
say,
at
I
the end
think
of
you're right. I
Avengers.
don't
It was
think
the
they're going
post
to
credit scene of
introduce him. I
Avengers.
think
That's my
it'll
bad.
be an ending, a
Blow me up
post-credit
in the
scene, and I think
comments. I
we're
got the
going to either
timeline
find
wrong. I'm
out
so
that the
sorry.
androids are modeled
It's only like
after
24 movies that you
whoever
have to
this
keep up
is,
with.
or like their like species, kind of thing, is maybe like
Yes.
who this person is modeled after. But I feel like absolutely these
But the
androids were
pruning,
not
man,
sinister
they
enough
go ahead.
to
Go
be
ahead.
our main villains. They had kind of a cool ominous appearance at the beginning with the red eyes glowing and stuff. But yeah, once they got speaking and yeah, that was like, okay, this isn't it. So I think something's coming that's a big bad that is going to be something pulling the strings that either will, like you said, Quantum Mania, Multiverse of Madness, like something's teasing to get something bigger in there. And I'm excited to see who and what it is.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming there. That was what?
Shock number 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they pruned aplenty in this episode. Obviously Mobius, we just talked about, got pruned, but then to see Loki get pruned at the very end of the episode, and it was at that moment,
there is another
that moment that I was like,
multiverse.
Pruning is not the issue. Like, because I was
let's
like,
talk about this
of course, it's his namesake.
Loki gets
he is the show.
And
they can't kill him off halfway through.
Renslayer and Sylvie duel
and then,
it
of course,
out
going into the post-credit scene, I think that everybody that gets pruned is just removed from.
I'm not really sure the exact term for
whatever
it.
Timeline
in the comments, that'd be great. She holds it
thrown
against Renslayer and says, tell me everything.
Yeah, they're thrown into a holding.
We cut to the credits, and then credits roll, and Loki comes back, and he opens his eyes. He's like, "Is this hell? Is this heaven?" And we hear something,
possibly an alligator.
Something off screen says, "You're not dead, but you're gonna be if you don't come with us." Basically, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but we turn around and we see 4 Loki variants right in front of us, and
one of them is an alligator.
One of them is an alligator, and I'm pretty sure that's where the voice came from.
I hope it is.
It had a gravelly alligator voice.
It did.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So Grayson, you referenced the screenshot that you showed in our Shang-Chi episode.
I think it's a destroyed,
because if you look at kind of the background and the environment, the little bit that you saw of it,
and this is
I think that's where
my last theory for this episode. I have a lot of theories.
I think that they're in a destroyed.
I think this is like
a timeline,
a garbage,
of New York,
a garbage bin.
That's where everybody,
reset,
for whatever reason, all the Loki variants,
people or objects or places or things. You know what I mean? So Mobius got pruned and Loki got pruned. They all just kind of go to this one garbage place. That's just there's, you see rubble in the distance. What could have caused that? We don't know. Maybe it is a timeline, another timeline of New York, and it's years in the future and it's in ruins. But I don't know. There's still a scene from the trailer that I'm waiting for, which is President Loki. We all saw that in the trailer, and he's just surrounded by crap, just junk. And after seeing what happened to Sylvie's toy Viking ship at the beginning, something is just saying like, hey, I think everything that gets reset or pruned has to go somewhere. It obviously doesn't get deleted. So maybe it all just compiles in this garbage place. That's the best way I have to explain it.
And 2, we do know that something ominous, something deadly is there, because they told him, you will be dead if you don't get up and come with us.
Yeah.
So
he's not dead yet.
Yeah. But so there is something that's a threat in this area that does, I guess, potentially kill these variants that do get sent here. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see, like, okay, what is the threat here? If all of these are variants, like, and the reason I thought, like, okay, well, maybe they're sent to New York because all of them attempt to take over New York at some point and all of them fail. And they're sent here to kind of live this.
Ooh, that's a good thought.
It's kind of like now they're stuck in like their worst actions kind of thing.
Maybe they're all stuck with the one Loki that succeeded.
Right, exactly. Like, and he's like always trying to kill him, but it's the Loki that's the kind of like half Hulk that we saw at the beginning in like the TVA, and he just comes and just kills everybody. Like.
Yeah. Just anger rages all the time. It's good. That was a good post-credit scene. Sometimes with Marvel post-credit scenes, it's like, that tells me
like
absolutely
it's
nothing.
more comical than practical, if you will.
You know, what was the one in there was one in one of the cosmic movies. It's either Guardians
Mhm.
was it Guardians that just had Howard the
That would be
Duck?
awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. Yeah.
I have to pee.
It was Guardians
But
2.
this was a good one, and
It was
I
the
really
second one,
I
and it was just
paused it
kept
on the
that one.
several
I'm thinking
Lokis
of the
since
one
I
where
needed to
Captain
get a
America
good
just
look
comes
at
out
it.
and he's like,
I'm
Same.
not gonna lie, that
"So you
the
waited for the
older
post credit
man
scene?"
Loki, that
He's like,
outfit's not looking good on
he's
him.
like,
It's creepy.
patience is a virtue,
Super
and
It's
then that's
bad.
it. And
It's
you're like,
Yeah.
"Are you
definitely
serious?"
it's
I sat in
definitely
the
trying to be
theater for
comic
like
book accurate
15
there.
extra minutes. It's killing me.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You think it's only 2 episodes left?
I did Google it. Yeah, I
It
googled it.
was a
There
great
is only six
episode. It
episodes.
was chock
Okay,
full of everything that makes Marvel. It makes you want to just
got it. Okay.
watch it as soon as it comes
Well,
out.
that's too bad.
Um,
I'm getting really
and
into this.
I anticipate the rest of the remaining 2
That's
episodes
true.
of this
That's
season
true.
to be just that. Tying up everything. I think there's 6 episodes because if they did the mid season, so they did the mid season after episode 3, so it
I
made
I mean,
I did
besides knowing
did
like just the
some
titles of
simple
movies that are
math
coming
there.
out, I don't know what
Um,
it's leading towards.
Yeah.
no, we got
Yeah,
Black
we'll
Widow
see.
coming up in this month, so
But clearly, my theory
um,
about how
so
Sylvie
but yeah, I mean
created the
it was
multiverse was
phenomenal. I
wrong
can't wait
because
for the
everything
rest of the
just got
series.
reset like it
I'm
was.
anxious to
So
see how it ends
I
because
really
I
liked your
know
theory about the
what
time
it's leading
stone, and that didn't
towards
happen either. So,
it
in the
didn't happen
future.
either.
So
oh
it's
man, I just
exciting.
kept thinking like the episode's gonna start. He's gonna be like, "All right, I've waited long enough." Just roll everything
Yeah.
back. Like, nope, that didn't happen. So,
Yep. So apparently Loki's always. Oh, you know what? Speaking of, I did do a little extra research after all of our discussions just to see if there's ever a time that Loki did use uh, powers that we just weren't familiar with. And there was a time when he was in the cage in Asgard, when he was in that in the glass cage, where he like got angry and like pushed all the furniture away.
okay,
No green magic, just angry, like force pushed all the furniture away.
yeah,
So we've seen it once, kind of.
yeah, kind of when he was angry.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's the only way I know how to
You're right.
describe it. I mean, I could say telekinesis, but that's not as fun as saying force push.
Right,
Exactly.
right,
I
exactly.
think it's funny that sorry, completely
Well,
off topic,
Grayson, what do you
kind of
think is going
on.
to
I
happen
think it's funny
next?
that one movie franchise has defined
Okay, I think next
the
episode,
use of
we're gonna
moving things
spend a
with your
lot of
mind
our time in this
as
alternate universe. I
Star
think we're
Wars
gonna
has done for
find
Force
Mobius
Puss,
is down here
Forceful.
somewhere,
Um,
and I think they're gonna break out. I think that's gonna be really
yeah,
all of
because
episode 5 is
immediately,
gonna be
if you know
like
anything about the Star Wars
we're getting
universe,
the
you know
band back
exactly what he's
together, we're
talking
getting
about.
out of here,
I think it's funny.
and then it's gonna be like all leading to try to save Sylvie. And I do obviously think there's gonna be like a kiss moment. I think it's got to happen where they show off that they are in love. But is there going to be some weird moment where, like, if they kiss, they're just going to become one person? We don't know because it's going to create some crazy divergent
Mm.
moment in the timeline. So I kept thinking that, like, are they just going to immediately become one timeline person and then they'll be like a super Loki that then could take over the universe? I don't know. I don't know. I'm anxious about it. I think that, um, I think those are the two things that are going to happen. That's my pitch. There's going to be a lot in the underworld, whatever is happening, and we're gonna get a kiss and I love you moment between the two Lokis. My cat disagrees.
Garbage world.
Garbage world.
I will agree with you, but disagree with you at the same time. Uh, hello, Cat. Uh, disagrees. So I do think
Mm-hmm.
we're going to spend a lot of
I
time
think
in
they're
the
gonna
next
wait.
episode in the what's called the garbage world. But I do think that we're going to spend I do think we're going to spend an equal amount of time back at the TVA with Sylvie and Rabona, especially because they need to be explained. It needs to be explained. It needs to be divulged as to what the heck is going on. And I don't think that they can. I don't think they're going to say that. I think the taking back of the
See,
TVA.
I
think the
do
breaking out
agree
of
with you. They're
wherever
going to get out. They're going to
all
get
the
back to the
prune people
TVA.
went.
I
I think that's going to
really
be
hope that the next
a
episode, when
finale. I
we're
think the
in this
penultimate
garbage
episode
world
is going to be
with
more
the Loki
a
variants,
slow
that
burn.
there's a little
This
just. I mean, there's
dissecting
been some comedy
exactly
throughout the whole
what
thing, but
has
I'm kind of
happened,
expecting some
why
like
it's happened,
Korg
who the
style comedy.
timekeepers really are.
You know,
I think that we're going to get
something funny is going to
equal
happen. We
shares.
might have a talking alligator on our hands. I mean,
Yes.
there's this old man in a Loki costume. There's got to be some comedy that's about to happen.
Yes.
Loki's about to meet a lot of himself. so I hope it's a funny episode, because I think the last episode is going to be busy. And I think this next one will really do exactly what episode 3 did and kind of set up the season finale. And really just, maybe it's the destruction of the TVA. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the big reveal that, of who's been behind it. I don't think they're going to actually show it. I think I agree with you, Jeremy. I think it's going to be a Thanos head turn moment, and that's kind of all we're going to get. It might even just be an end credit scene. I hope the next 2 episodes have post credit scenes. That would be great. I'm not keeping my hopes up, because it hasn't been that common in the Disney Plus series so far. But I really hope to see more teases of what's to come outside of just Loki. And really, I mean, what I've really been hoping for is some teases of what's going to happen in the greater universe, because none of the series have done that yet. They've all been relatively self-contained to their own world. WandaVision's post credit scene really didn't have anything to do with anything else but WandaVision, or Wanda Maximoff. Falcon Winter Soldier didn't really have much of a post credit scene. Any of their stuff just kind of had to do with what was happening in that time. And what I've always loved about Marvel and their post credit scenes was it always led to the next thing,
right?
The next movie, or reference to the next character. And so far we just haven't seen that yet. And I'm really hoping that Loki changes that for us.
I do have one last question to pose to you guys. So in the TVA, magical powers don't work. In the garbage world, do the powers work? Joey, what do you think? You think so, Jimmy? No, you're good. Joe?
I think so.
I think so too. There's no reason for me to think they don't.
No.
Other than the TVA's put them down there, but I'm interested to see garbage world powers.
They haven't been able to get out.
Right. So they have some powers, but not enough powers.
Right.
Unless he stole the Tesseract
so.
before he got shot down.
Sorry. I do think so.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited. I think it's awesome.
I think that every Loki has different powers.
Very cool.
Much like Sylvie and
any
Loki
news outside of Loki
powers.
This was a great episode. Anything happening in the universe as a whole,
maybe the old man
MCU,
Loki's
anything
powers are
newsworthy that we wanted to discuss.
I think that can provide some comic relief. So yeah, I do think that they have powers down there.
Yeah, actually, I will say.
Oh, go ahead, Grayson.
Joe, you got something?
I don't have anything right this minute.
I got one thing. I heard this week. This is not the greatest news. Apparently, Indiana Jones 5 has been put on permanent hold.
Oh, no.
Because Harrison has been hurt on set.
Oh, Harrison.
What do you got, Joe?
So they've continued filming all things that have nothing to do with Indiana, like non-Harrison shots are being done, but all of Harrison's shots are on indefinite hold, because I guess he's probably not going to come back to film if he's potentially going to be hurt again.
Oh, no.
They're not quite saying how hurt he is right now. So
I did hear that.
Yeesh for our potential Indiana Jones film
right.
that we talked about at the beginning of the show. So That's the only news I got. It's not good news, boys. I'm sorry to say.
You know, the only thing that I'll bring up is and it's not worth a huge discussion, but would love y'all's thoughts. And I don't think we talked about this in the last episode, but did y'all see that there has been some changes made to the WandaVision post-credit scene?
Negative.
Yeah. Jeremy and I were talking about this before, and we thought maybe it'd be something to discuss on the show, and this is a good opportunity to do that. So in the post-credit scene, Disney has silently rolled out a revision, a change to the post-credit scene. Nothing major has changed. The sequence is still the same. It's still that one shot, that oneer leading in over the lake and then going to the beautiful little cabin in the woods. And it still goes to Wanda, and she goes inside, and we still see her astro projecting herself, reading the Darkhold. And then she's, something weird happens and she looks up towards the camera. That's all still the same. But what's different is it used to be rather clear around the cabin, but now there's lots of other trees popped up. There's more trees. People are saying there's like a mist or a ghost or something coming down the mountain towards the cabin. Jeremy says it is. I think that it's something different. I think it's actually a mistake, but it looks like they've tried masking out some light reflections and stuff, and that was just a mistake from the masking.
Jeremy says no.
The working theory is that it's white vision coming down the mountain. The other theory is that people have had about this post-credit scene for a while now is the camera's point of view is actually Doctor Strange, going to the cabin. That's the camera movement. So the thought is White Vision and Doctor Strange are all coming in to come see Wanda. And why they added trees, I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? What you got?
Well, I mean, we talked about how more than likely
that's the working theory.
Of,
that's the theory that we're playing with, is that that they finished.
I think there's going to be some sort of
that scene
initial
of
explosionary battle
of Multiverse of Madness,
Wanda,
and they realized, oops,
I still
we shot this in a wooded area with lots of trees, and we didn't have a lot of trees around the cabin then. Let's add some trees
to display the damage.
It happened, and it's a clear change. So if you haven't seen it yet, go back, watch the end, and tell us in the comments what you think. Why do you think they made the change to the WandaVision post-credit scene? And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Nerdy South. Like this video, give us a thumbs up, tickle the bell icon so you can get notified of new videos, and leave some comments. We want to hear from y'all. We want to hear your theories. No spoilers, please. If you have heard real spoilers, the only spoilers we want are our own theoretical spoilers and of course our review of the show. So no spoilers pre-watching the episode, but we'd love to hear your theories on what's happening in Loki. So be sure to leave some comments.
This has been a great episode. I really enjoyed it. We cannot wait to see you guys next time for episode 5. Be on the lookout in between Loki episode reviews and even after, as we kind of do some other things happening in the MCU, whether it's trailer reviews or Easter eggs or really anything else. So we had a really good time tonight. We're looking forward to next time. So we'll see you guys then.
See you next time.